Welcome to Nacht Waffen Pilot with Penny Bradley. Today we have Drago Reid, who has recently come forward as an SSP experiencer, survivor, veteran. He's been talking about it a lot on other shows. This is the first time he's going to talk about it here. And welcome, Drago.
Hey everybody. It's always awesome being back on your show. I think this is our episode 3.
Well, some of them have been with you on your show, and some of them have been on my show. So we've got what, 3, 4, 5, something like that in the bag.
That's a decent
But
amount to start with.
so yeah, and we tend to talk more off record than on, which is fine. Um, yeah, I have not heard your story about your SSP experiences. So I don't want you to go through and do a blow by blow, but if you could share some of it, I think that would be a good thing.
How about we just start with what I told you about all the blood I wake up with every day. Let's let people know how serious being somebody in the secret space program is and speaking about what we do. Like, to everybody that glamorizes being a super soldier, you have no idea what we do and what we have to go through and how much pain is physically involved in what we do. And
Yeah.
it'll really mess you up. I was telling Penny before we started recording that every day I wake up with blood in my mouth and I'm spitting up blood. And it has to do with all the pain I go through at night. Either I'm getting hit with directed energy weapons on a regular basis, or my physical broken body from all the things I've ever went through is culminating every night when I sleep. And I'm either grinding my mouth to death or I'm getting hit with directed energy weapons because today was the most blood I've spit up in a long time. Like the moment I look in the mirror, I open my mouth, there was blood everywhere in my mouth. And
Mm.
normally it's not so much, but this time it's just like, what are they doing to me, man? And like I've had this lifelong of pain and I'm lucky if I sleep 1 to 3 hours a night. And it seems like the last 3 or 4 months, it feels like I'm not even sleeping 2 hours. And it's freaking torture to keep a human body going with no sleep. And the way my body works is it's mostly mental. My mind is so powerful that it can put my body through so much trauma and torture because there's something in my energy that keeps me alive. And most people do not
Yeah.
have this. Like my star chart, for example, my Vedic star chart, it says that I have 5 or 6 houses stacked in the bottom right of my chart, which means when I had it read to me, the lady that read it to me, a really known astrologist at Conscious Life Expo, she looked at me and she started freaking out when she started seeing these conjunctions. She's like, "How have you not killed yourself?" She's like, "People with charts like this, they were they've killed themselves, suicidal, because you took on so much karma in one single life that most humans will not be able to handle the amount of karma you decided to transmute in this life." And I
Wow.
feel that. I feel that 100%. And apparently I'm good at receiving trauma. And I'm good when stuff blows up in my face. And I'm good when my relationships fail because I'm so used to it. You know what I'm saying? It's like you
Well,
try to tell people,
we had to postpone this for a couple of hours because you woke up with shoulder pain, and we had to let that subside before we started recording. I know that feeling. Those who have followed me long term know that I had to have shoulder reconstruction in 2019, and it was because I was taken during the night for a CIA mission, um, and on the way back, they broke my shoulder. I had to have rotator cuff reconstruction. And the description of the kind of pain you're having, I think that's probably something in your future. Uh, because if you are having trouble lifting that arm, like you described, uh, that's something you're going to have to think about whether you get it fixed or not.
I guess I'm so used to having a broken body from all the breaks I've ever had. Like, you have to understand the motorcycle crash I went through that gave me my traumatic brain injury. I broke a lot of bones that time. But
No
like years
kidding.
later, I broke a lot more bones out of my own stupidity. Like, I remember one time I'm at my tattoo shop, and upstairs in my building is my art gallery. And I remember coming down the stairs and it was sprinkling, and I'm wearing these white square tip Steve Madden shoes.
I don't know what those are.
Fancy shoes. I do not wear fancy shoes anymore. Long story short, I stepped on that metal stair, and I just remember tumbling down the stairs, and I broke the right side of my fibula or tibula. And right when I walked in my tattoo shop, my employee Khan, he's like, "What the hell was that sound?" I'm like, "Dude, I just fell down the freaking stairs." It was retarded. And from that point on, I realized, fuck Steve Madden shoes. I'm never wearing this fancy crap again. And from this point on, I'm going to grab the damn rail when I go downstairs, because when it happened, I react fast to
Mm.
stimulus. But this happened so fast that by the time I realized what was happening, I was already halfway down the stairs. So, like, it is what
Been
it
there,
is.
done that. There was a time in my life that I dressed uh, in fashion. I'll put it that way. I have gotten to the point I really don't care if I'm in fashion or not. I want safe and comfortable. And the last conference I went to, I put on my my pretty shoes. And I got this comment from this woman. She goes, "You have sneaker soles on your dress shoes?" I go, "Yeah, you need the traction. You need the grip. I don't want to fall on my ass again." But yeah,
You gotta look out when you get older, man. You can handle some broken bones when you're young, but when all these broken bones starts catching up to you like decades later, it starts really mattering. It's just like all these young people, they don't care what they do to their body. They don't care if they have the toxins and they chronic alcoholism. They don't care about liver failure in the future. It's just like, you're going to freaking care 4 decades from now, because most of the people I talk to every day, they don't care about themselves. They don't care about their diets and shit like that. And it blows me away, because I remember I was 33 when my dad died. I was
Mm.
told he died of a heart attack. So for probably about 6 months, I was convinced my dad died of a heart attack. So I thought about that, because in the end, he got diabetes. And I'm thinking, if I don't change my what I eat, and I don't look towards the future, I'm going to be a product of my dad. Long story short, he died of a freaking heroin overdose.
Oh
So it
God.
was his bad. He deserved it. He shouldn't have been on heroin, and he shouldn't have been hiding that from people, but it is what it is. But at that point, I decided to become a vegetarian. Like, I thought about it. I got to think about my health, because I've always wanted to become a vegetarian, and I had to fight it for the longest time because I'm a carnivore. Most of my meals were like 80 to 90% meat and a little bit of the leafy green stuff that typically I wouldn't eat. Now it's 100% vegetarian. So back when I was 33, I'm
I'm
44 now.
kind of in between. I've had a lot of people hassle me about it. I am on a protein limit. So where other people are eating pounds of meat a day, I'm only eating like 4 to 6 ounces anyway. And now I'm diabetic and I have gout. And I'll tell you, mixing those two diets together, you pretty much can have lettuce.
I eat a crap ton of lettuce. I feel that I'm a freaking cow or a rabbit eating in a field.
I laid out for Lou both sets of diets, the the American Association of Diabetics exchange diet and the uric acid diet for gout. And I laid them on the table together and I said, I have to follow both of these. And he looked at it and he laughed and he laughed and he laughed and he says, I'm not a rabbit. So, we have been feeling our way through what we eat. But yeah, I have the utmost respect for folks who can pull off a vegan diet. I do. It's really hard in America to
You
pull
know what
off.
it's like? I've been a vegetarian for maybe 8 or 9 years. And you know what the hardest thing is? Knowing that you are a tiger in the wild and you're choosing to respect your prey and you're choosing to eat the grass that they eat, knowing you just want to eat them, but you choose compassion over your own urges to harm. Because what I
Mm,
learned with QHHT is the beings we eat are us, and it's us choosing another incarnation to be a rabbit or to be an insect or to be a blade of grass. And there's no difference between that animal and us in a human body because the consciousness is the same. It has fears, it has desires, it has struggles. And
mhm.
I got to the point where I realized I was consuming myself. So getting into QHHT it changed my life because it let me know the connection to everything around me, and I could no longer contribute to the harm because when we eat meat, we don't realize that we had to end an animal's life just to be satiated for a single meal that day. But we're so
Uh,
disconnected from the death of it that no one thinks about it. No one cares anymore.
I
And I
grew
think
up
that's
on a
what's the
dairy
problem.
and I raised the animals that we ate.
It's good to show them love versus like a slaughterhouse because you can
And
raise animals and give them love and compassion. And in the end, yes, it sucks because it's like they became a pet, you know?
you do get attached to them. You know this animal as a being rather than a slab of meat on a plate. And we treated them with compassion. It probably didn't make the animal any happier, but we never wasted any of it. Um, we treated it like the Native Americans do,
You
that
have to
this was something that was sacrificed for us and should be respected. And I know that's a very odd thing to come out of an American white person, but that was the approach I was taking. Um, I had I had a near-death experience or actually two of them in 1984, and they activated pernicious anemia. And I was vegetarian for 18 months. And then I got very, very, very sick from the pernicious anemia. And I've been dealing with that ever since. At the time, my doctor just basically screamed at me and said, eat egg yolks and liver and you'll be okay. Well, it's not that simple. I'm to the stage now where I have to get B12 injections. And the
depending on
next,
what blood type you have to have meat because if you don't, it can cause all kinds of anemic issues and all kinds of
yeah.
physiological issues because your body's breaking down because you need those proteins and nutrients.
So we are at the point in my medical issues where I eat a small amount of meat. I can't have beef. I'm allergic to it. I'm actually allergic to everything cow. I can't wear leather shoes. And it's just really frustrating. And
Most shoes are leather, so I can see that quandary.
yeah, I have to make sure I get the nubuck, which is a synthetic. And then you have the issues of you're wearing chemicals on your feet.
Yeah.
So, you know, I haven't been cussing a lot lately, but with diet and my allergies, it's like I'm fucked no matter what I do. So, I did stop eating meat because of the animals. And so when I was put back on it for medical reasons, I had to do a lot of soul searching. And people out in the public, for them it's just a matter of right or wrong. But when you're having to balance your own survival against the life of something else, it comes down to every mouthful matters. And it's been a difficult journey. I did have one friend who told me everything eats something else, that even plants eat the sun,
Then plants eat us when we die.
and plants eat us when we die, that everything in this universe eats something else. And she says, what do you think you're supposed to survive on? Unicorn farts?
Honestly, if I can survive off unicorn farts, I would choose it because like it would be a shitty thing, but like if it's the choice between me making more karma and violating my own morals and everything I've ever learned, I would have to suck some unicorn farts.
Yeah, well, it's I think we need to be consciously aware of how our choices affect others. And we need to balance what we really need against the harm it does.
I think I learned all about the harm in the SSP stuff because it's like if you've known since you were a child just harm and like the stuff that they make you do, and when you're out of it, all you appreciate is life. You appreciate the small things. It's to someone who's never been through the trauma of the MK Ultra program and been through this stuff, you don't truly know how precious life is.
Yeah.
And it teaches you how precious life is. And it teaches you that one of the things I struggle the most with, I think about the most is I remember a lot of times that I would save other people or other beings in these scenarios, I would inadvertently get them killed because I started a chain reaction of events that led to their death while I was trying to save them. It's kind of like
Happens.
it happened a year ago. A little over a year ago, I'm driving home, and this is like in the middle of like the rural area. No street lights, no nothing, just cows on both sides of the streets. And I seen this dog in the middle of nowhere, and he was like walking in the street, and I didn't see any houses around, like pitch black dark, and you only see stars. And I pull over and I'm thinking, this dog is going to get hit. I need to help this dog.
Mm.
I make a U-turn so I can physically see the dog, and suddenly I hear in the darkness someone yelling at the dog. They started yelling the words, "Old Jack." And I'm like, oh crap, I guess there is a house around here. And right when he said old Jack, my head jerks this way. And I seen headlights coming. This is a two-way road. I seen headlights coming from in front of me. Because I was looking at the dog to my left. He was at my door. I was gonna get out, but the dog was barking at me. I didn't want to freak the dog out. So I seen this car coming and I started flashing my lights over and over. I'm like, fucking stop. Over and over, I flash my lights. Next thing you know, this fucking car didn't even listen. I'm in the middle of the damn road, stopped, and you have a car flashing lights at you. This person keeps going as if I didn't flash nothing. I wasn't sitting in the middle of the road. Suddenly I hear old Jack get hit.
Hmm.
I was thinking, I cannot believe this just freaking happened. And I heard that dog scream out in half-second intervals. It kept making the same sound over and over and over like extreme pain. And I heard his owner. His owner yelled, "God damn it, old Jack." And I remember he goes to pick up old Jack, and suddenly all that yelping just stops, as if you hit pause on a CD player. And it was like I could tell the moment that that dog, his soul left. And at that moment, the person says to me that hit the dog, "I'm sorry. I didn't know what flashing lights meant. I didn't know what that meant." I'm like, dude, I am in the middle of the freaking road flashing at you, and you didn't think that that is suspicious in any way? Long story short, the dog died. And I felt like the biggest piece of shit. And it reminded me of the programs that the times I tried to genuinely save a creature, I inadvertently caused a chain of reactions to happen that caused it to die.
That's
And
actually very common.
I've never forgot that dog's name. And I've, it sucks, man, because like that was someone's dog. And
Yeah.
old Jack was an old dog. The person that came and saved him was an old man. So through my actions, I just took what that person may have loved the most, and it was my fault because I stopped. And more than likely, if I didn't stop, that dog would have been fine. So it's taught me in life some battles are worth fighting and stepping into, some battles are not. You have to pick and choose, because if you can't ascertain that your actions will then cause negative consequences, that's not true learning. But we do learn that in the programs. We learn that every action has an equal and opposite reaction. So if we go in,
I learned that every action doesn't always have an equal reaction. Sometimes you end up with it building and building and building and building and building, and what seemed like a very tiny, insignificant thing blows up into a huge disaster.
and you've never seen it coming, it's just like, how could have my singular set of events caused this? But it teaches you, it's kind of like in the programs. They teach us kids how not to die. We die so many times, we get beaten to death so many times. It teaches us how to fight. It teaches us how to recognize these scenarios that are going to be coming in advance, because if you can put someone through so much trauma, they have experienced so many point of views that it makes you a tactician.
Um, what I learned was that death was not an option, that I had to take action, because even if I chose to die, they wouldn't let me stay dead.
That's what I've always feared. If I ever, it's kind of like they program into us the ability not to commit suicide unless we're activated with Omega. That's why you hear a lot of
Yeah,
these SS people, they tried to kill themselves and it didn't work, because the programming will not let them kill themselves. It has to be from an external force, you
yeah.
know? And like, I realized if I died in this physical body, it wouldn't matter, because they would still rehome my consciousness and probably put it into a damn clone. And then it's like, I never died, you know? But this time I'm not in my own house living my own life that I think I'm living, because you have to pretend you're a regular human being amongst other regular people when you've got to pretend you're just a regular neighbor, when realistically you're like, all
I
you're
can't
used to.
pretend anymore. My neighbors all know I'm weird.
None of my
Some of them
One of
will
my
still
neighbors knows
talk
who
to
I
me.
am. One of my neighbors, the neighbor I'm close to, I've told him kind of what I've been through, and normally under no circumstance would I ever tell the neighbor who I am. And he loves my podcasts. These are like
Awesome.
regular people that don't know nothing about what we're into or that these realms even exist. And it took a lot for me to even tell him that. So there was a form of trust I felt with him, and I told him about it. And it's a good thing. Like, he doesn't treat me weird. He always treats me with respect. We're friends. We go sailing together on his sailboat. It's freaking awesome because I love the water. Like, that's where I feel the most free. Like, my ultimate life purpose, I feel, is to buy myself minimum of 40-foot sailboat, blue water sailboat, where I can travel the world and do podcasts from around the world in different locations from different islands with maybe Starlink internet, you know, where I can do a live broadcast in the middle of the damn Atlantic Ocean. You know, who does that?
I used to have a 17-foot tri-hull
Oh, nice.
with my ex, and he had been in the Coast Guard for during his Vietnam service. So after he came back from Vietnam, he did search and rescue out of Norfolk, Virginia. And he used to scare the shit out of me with that 17-foot boat. He would get it going so fast that it wasn't even in the water anymore.
Yeah, the small boats are incredibly fast. They cut through the water like a razor blade.
And he used to just scare the living shit out of me. And he used to yell at me that I was leaving nail imprints on the bottom of my seat from holding on so tight. And we eventually got rid of the thing. Um, but I haven't gotten over my fear of the water, and it's from him. It's not from the SSP. It's from second husband deliberately frightening me. So, someone recently came up with that I was going to speak at his cruise conference without asking me. He announced it. And there's no way in hell I'm ever going to do a cruise conference because I can't get on a boat.
Honestly, Penny, what I've learned the most is a lot of the fears I had were programmed in me from the programs. Like, one of the things I feared the most was heights. So I started working on it. I realized that if I don't face my fears head on, I can never truly accomplish what I came here for because
I'm not afraid of heights, but I get up in a height and I get the urge to jump.
me
So
too every time. I love jumping off buildings or falling from planes. It took me a long time to get to that point because my fear of heights, I started like jumping from like high diving boards to kind of challenge myself. And then I started challenging myself. I jump off a cliff. And from jumping off a cliff, I started bungee jumping. And from that, I started skydiving. And from that point, I fell in love with plummeting towards the earth at 120 miles per hour. Like, it's the best feeling in the world. And I realized when I started doing these things, it actually activates memories when you face your fears because you realize that the fear is a block, that it's kind of like approaching a vicious animal that you know that's going to eat your arm off. It prevents you from opening that power once you walk beyond it. And that's what I started doing with life. It made me want to start facing my fears directly. So one of those was being in the middle of the ocean and surrounded by sharks or something. So I'm like, you know what? I'm going to fly to Australia and go to the Great Barrier Reef and go to the middle of the ocean and just scuba dive. So I did. And sharks came. And that wasn't part of no shark like thing I paid for. It was just some random sharks came. And it was the most beautiful thing I've ever experienced because for the first time when that shark came near me, it looked me in the eyes and I just seen myself in it. And it was more curious than anything. And I saw that it wasn't evil and it's not like they portray it. Yes, the shark can eat you, but like if you project that fear, you're going to attract it. That's how fear happens.
that
Anything you're afraid
that's
of, if
the
you
way
need,
that's the way a lot of things work is if you're afraid of them, they will attack.
yeah. So you always look a shark in the eye. If a shark is ever following you, you turn around and you face that shark. You look at the shark because prey never turns around and faces the shark. It always runs. And the more you run, the more you actually flail, the more it's going to attack you.
Mm-hmm.
But you've got to show it that you are dominant. You have to maintain eye contact and you have to watch it. And if it does come near you, sometimes they're more curious. They don't charge you like in the movies. If it comes near you and it's about to be in your face, you take your arm and you just push its top jaw away slowly, and usually that's all it takes. But no, you can't train someone to do that. You can either remain in fear or react, or you realize that no matter what's happening at this moment, you can't change it, and it's how you react to that thing. So I realized one day it's how you react to the fear. And
Mm-hmm.
then years later, I figured out the reason I was afraid of the water and sharks is because I've dealt with them in the programs. And I feel completely comfortable being in the middle of the ocean with all these damn sharks because that was part of my training. And
Most of the time I've been in the programs, I was a pilot or navigator, and I was completely on the ship and chipped into the ship's computer. And the ship was like an extension of me, that's how my mind perceived it. So I
almost like the
was,
ship is your body and you're the consciousness powering it almost. Because
yeah,
you weren't even allowed to leave your ship for how long were you stuck in the bowels of that place with your little roommate?
25 years on the first trip out, and I've got altars out there that it's been that the trips were 60 years, and I was the navigator and stuck in the bowels the whole time. Once in a while, they will transfer me from one ship to another, and when I'm not chipped, I'm allowed to go on a world. But that's why I don't have a lot of memory of the planets, is because I was never on them.
Yeah, one thing people don't understand is it's not like the Star Trek kind of life where you have the navigator and everybody all in one room because people don't
Well,
understand it.
I was a bridge officer, so I could do my job from the bridge. But Matt Tracy is also a navigator, and we serve on the same ship where we do shift work. And he stays in navigation where I end up on the bridge.
Did you
So
guys have a Draco liaison on that ship?
we did until Joe P- until Joe Powell's altar showed up. He didn't like Draco.
I always remember a single Draco being on the ship.
Yeah, that single Draco is usually a navigator because most humans don't have that capability. Those of us who do, it's because they injected us with Draco DNA before we were born. Before we were born means we did not agree to it. So people need to get that particular bullshit out of their heads. Um, Everything about these programs victimizes the assets. It turns you into a property, a slave, and they treat you like a truck rather than a person. And the entire experience is degrading. And the people who are saying how wonderful and glamorous and all this other bullshit, they're living in cover memories and hero songs. And I've recently been called on the carpet for disrespecting new people coming forward. And the truth of the matter is, I waited 5 years to come forward with my 3 years to come forward with my memories because I was sitting here with this lump of stuff in German.
So you got your memories around 2014 because I think you came out in what, September of 2017, something like that.
I came, I got my memories in April, May of 2013, and I came forward in September of 2016 because Lou and I were being shot at with DEW, directed energy weapons, for those who don't know the acronym. And DEW, when they hit you, it feels like you were hit with a log, but it's electronic. It burns. It burns for about
Big time. I
it
remember
bur
when I would get hit in the head, it feels like my brain is freaking boiling. Like
yeah,
literally boiling. Like you touch your head, it is physically hot.
but when you go to the doctor, there's no marks. So they think you're batshit. But when I had my spinal fusion, one of the things in the doctor's notes was he had never seen nerve and muscle tissue welded to bone before.
And that takes heat.
That takes the DEW. So I have medical proof that this actually happened to me. I am not pulling it out of my ass like I'm currently being accused by, what is it, 3 or 4 people right now? I mean, this last 2 weeks has been, let's beat Penny to death.
Yeah, it's been pretty tough behind the scenes dealing with what you've been going through. It sucks.
So it I don't understand.
But you've seen how many people actually love you that actually came out and defended certain things, and you could see that
Yes.
you have a real team, and it's not like I live in this fear of thinking these people are like on my team. They literally prove it to you.
Yeah, I've gotten an outpouring of support from people that have just been absolutely incredible. And at least with all the let's stomp Penny bullshit, I have found out who hates me, and I will not be working with those people again. I'm not saying anything about their otherwise veracity, but the fact that they hate me so much tells me there's something not right. Uh, yeah, some of them were pretty damn nasty about what they told me, and then told other people other things. So they're they're delusional at best, and some of them are just, one in particular, the first one who zapped me. I think he's actually ill, and I hope he gets help. He's lost a lot of weight lately. Um, I think he's actually ill, and yeah.
I know exactly you're talking about, but we don't need to name names. We're not one of those types of people unless you really escalate and really push our buttons. But I understand.
The last time I did a naming names video, I ended up with death threats from half of them. And the person who told me he would have my back ended up in prison, and I have learned from this consequences. And whether they're truthful or not, they're still nasty. And in real time, I'm a little old lady that uses a walker, and I'm facing life in a wheelchair. And anybody that thinks I'm going to beat them up is delusional.
I've
So,
heard some of those weird comments. It's like, where do you get this from? Like, do you think you're going to activate one of Penny's altars and she's going to become a superhero and get past all the issues she has with her body and just become a killer? Like, come on, man.
I've got
Possible, definitely possible. But I'll throw that caveat in.
this physical body has serious problems.
Most of us SS people do.
Yes,
Like we start
that's
getting what
something.
20 years after we're abducted, we start getting medical issues and cancers and all kinds of stuff start
Yeah,
happening.
it's we've called it re, we've called it age regression sickness because the symptoms are so consistent. It happens it starts about 20 years after you were first taken, because most of us are taken for a 20 and back. And at the time we're sent back, then we have this 20-year period that we actually do pretty well. And then the sickness starts. And the sickness looks like lupus or fibromyalgia. You feel like you have the flu all the time. You start having headaches, body aches. Your endocrine system shuts down. If you have arthritis in your family, you're going to get arthritis really bad. And that's the stage I'm at, is the arthritis. And I'm to the point where they won't even do another surgery on me because of the arthritis. So there will be no medical interventions again. And so I'm looking at what's happening to me and realizing nobody's going to help me. And some days that's really just overpowering. And that's part of why I slowed down on videos. Okay. A lot of people have asked me, well, why did you slow down on videos? Well, first of all, the people I was interviewing went to Camp Hero last summer, and they made peace with their past. So they're
And
not,
with each other.
and with each other, and
A
they're
lot
not,
of a lot of them in that group raped each other and they did a lot of despicable shit, but like when you can talk about it to that person face to face and ask for forgiveness because you were in an altar and you had to do these things, that is to see
yeah,
that happen, that's nothing but respect. And to see those people not hate each other anymore because they remember those memories and they're
yeah,
past.
yeah.
Kind of like
They,
you and Joseph, like y'all been through a lot of vicious stuff, but like you talk about it now. You're friends now. Like that's where we have to become.
with Joseph and I, we worked a lot of it out on air in front of everybody.
I remember.
But then we went to a conference where we were both speakers there. And we sat down together with Lou there, and we had our time of making amends. And we get along great now.
Didn't he
Uh,
pay for your hotel as well for that trip?
that was a different trip. He had some problems, and he paid for my hotel because I wasn't going to go.
That speaks
Okay.
a lot for somebody that did put you through a lot of trauma and they say, I am really trying to deal with these memories and who I was and what they did to me, and like I will do anything to make it right with you. You know what I'm saying?
Well, it wasn't so much that he wanted to make it right with me as he wanted me there because he needed to talk to Lou. Now, the public doesn't hear from Lou. They know he matters to me. They know he's my partner. They know he helps me with my altar reintegration. Lou is an Iroquois shaman. He has wisdom that is just beyond belief for me, and I live with him. And Joe needed to talk to Lou and get some man-to-man advice. And from what I have heard from him since then, it really helped him. So no, guys, Lou is not out there practicing, and you can't make an appointment with him. But if you're a friend he knows, like he knew Joe from my show and from the conferences, Lou's a really good friend. And I'm glad I went to that last one, and we were able to help Joe. Um, I'm glad it did help, and I realized at that conference just how targeted the SSP people were, even among our own. Um, I haven't I haven't been back to another conference since. I've been invited to several, but they've ended up infighting among the producers. And mostly first-time producers who were learning as they went, and mistakes were made, and people were on different pages, and it just didn't work out. And so I think, knock on wood, we have a good one coming up in July. You and I are both speakers there, and you have a beach party ahead of time. So I will
Go to
be,
that party every year.
um,
And Zach's party, it's freaking awesome. Right on St. Pete Beach. It's like an all-day beach fest, and in the nighttime, the party really starts.
Lou and I will be staying at your house for that. So I've been told the arrangements are, and I'm looking forward to that. And you'll get to meet Lou real world and find out about his depth.
About freaking time. Why I always always make it a point to talk to Lou because I always know he's in front of your screen or standing to the side. I'm like, hey Lou, what's up, man? He's like, hey Drago.
Yeah,
Always like talking to
we have our own, we each have our own computer, and we're kind of back to back because the room's small.
his.
And
His is to your back right, correct?
my back right, yes.
Yeah.
And he's just far enough, I can't just reach out and touch him. I have to roll the wheels a little on my chair a little. But
That guy can write a book about you, just observing you throughout your entire life. That would be actually a pretty damn intriguing, man. Like write a story about your guy's life. I'd buy that book.
he's
Lou, get off your butt,
he,
write some stories, bro.
he's laughing. Uh,
Serious, write a book.
now he's going outside to smoke a cigarette.
After listening to this picture, nobody would believe it.
Come here.
Every time I see him appear on camera, it's like watching Odin come forward. The whole awesome hair and the beard.
If I wrote that book, it would have to be listed as a fiction because nobody would believe half of it.
It's okay. Most people don't believe our stories anyways, but it's for the ones that do believe us. That's what matters. It's the lives that we change that actually care.
Yeah.
Yeah. He grew this beard for me, by the way.
I know how you like your men with long hair. And I know about his Indian connections, and the longer the hair, the more psychic you are. And like, I know about all that. You're like, I love Lou's curly long hair.
I do.
She's always told me that, Lou.
I'm kind of attached to it myself. It's kind of stuck.
Looks good, bro. I wish I looked that as good as you when I get old.
I'm only 75,
Hey,
but I'm
you
past my
you have strong freaking hair, bro. Like the hair you got on your head is very
I'm
awesome.
past my body slamming stage, so.
Yeah, that was one of the recent accusations, was that Lou was going to body slam that individual. He and I were both like,
Lou's
what?
a pretty big guy. Like you can see
No,
he
he's
doesn't have
not.
big arms. Like he's a pretty good freaking strong person. Like everybody would
He's
think that the Lou behind the scenes would be this weak boyfriend a year kind of dude, because no one knows Lou. I've seen Lou behind the scenes, and I'm like, that guy's a freaking Viking. So
that guy is 5'5" and 180 pounds.
that's a short Viking.
He's native, he's not Viking, but Iroquois were not wimps.
Mm-mm.
And he did serve in Vietnam as a DoD contractor. And some folks will understand what that means. I'd say 90% of what he did there is still classified.
Yeah, it's always Black Ops stuff, always.
So he's been an important person, one of the most important people in our history that nobody will ever know his name. So,
You guys have had numerous lives together.
um,
I know that he's been your
he's
protector in more than one life.
he's told me about that. The man who is my tutor, um, I hope he doesn't get mad about me revealing this, but his higher self is my soul's father. So we have had multiple incarnations together too. And that was why he chose me to tutor. In fact, he did a ceremonial mage summoning to draw me into his life. So that was kind of cool when I found out that he wanted me in his life.
Who would have thought that some random guy that you work with at Walmart would have like followed you your entire life?
Lou and I actually met at a limestone quarry.
That was the quarry job, right?
Uh,
You were cleaning it and he was like the manager where he overseen the quarry kind of
Nope, he was the security guard.
security guard, that's it. That's kind of what I meant.
Okay, my ex was poisoning me for life insurance,
Yeah.
and I was getting sicker and sicker and sicker, and it was taking me longer and longer to do my job. And I worked after most of the guys went home. So there are federal laws. Well, there's state, federal, local, all kinds of laws about mines. And quarries are considered to be a mine, an open pit mine. So no one's allowed to be on the property except the security guard. So when I was there, he had to babysit me. And so he would check in and he would do his rounds and then he would come back and check on me and, you know, that kind of thing. He was on the property too, so I was legal to be there. And he told me he got to where he was looking forward to babysitting me. And when I figured out I was being poisoned, um, and the other things that my now ex was doing, I ended up divorcing him. And by that point, because of the poisoning, I was so sick I couldn't even shower by myself.
Yeah, but he was giving you arsenic, right?
Yeah, he was dipping ant-bait steaks in my coffee because it mimics lupus. And I had a lupus diagnosis before I met him. And he had a $500,000 life insurance policy on me.
Yeah, that ended in like 2001, right?
The divorce was final on 9/11.
Never forget that. You're like, I'm done with this third husband.
I have only been married twice.
Thought he was your third husband.
No, I've only been married twice. The first husband was a gay preacher. The second husband was a mafia hitman. And we are not legally married, and we've been together. It'll be 24 years in May.
It's pretty awesome, man.
So, but when I first moved in with him, I was completely fucking helpless, and I had to go on disability. I couldn't work. I was just completely in trouble. And you know, there's a lot of folks out there who think I'm an atheist because I'm no longer Christian, but I do believe in, what is it, the Sumerians called it, the creator of all that is. I do believe in that. And I think that's the reason why I survived everything that was thrown at me. And I didn't even have memories of space then. I was having flashbacks about Langley, what happened there, but it was couched in symbolism. Once I had the memory dump in 2013, the flashbacks made sense. If you're getting flashbacks and you have no idea what they're about, you can't do anything about them. You need to understand the real memory before you can do the work to clear flashbacks. And that's one of the reasons I get upset with people that want to just there was a rage thing about oh yeah, you have to kill off all your altars. No, your altars are part of you. You kill them off, you lose part of your psychic energy. What you need to do is bring them back into yourself.
Yeah, integration is always the answer. And when you've tried that previously, that's what they punished you for
Oh
trying
yeah.
to integrate your altars.
Yeah, that was what they said was the reason they broke my shoulder was don't reintegrate any more navigator altars. Well, you have to reintegrate them in the order they were split off. So otherwise you end
I
up
didn't know that, so that's pretty interesting.
with your pattern messed up.
Hmm.
So it's like you open when you are mind fractured, it opens in a pattern and you have to reintegrate in that same pattern, or else you end up, the end result is not you,
It's
it's
like missing
you.
steps.
Yeah, you're miss it's like a jigsaw puzzle that you're missing pieces.
Mhm.
And a lot of people tell me that altars are demons. Fritz Springmeier is one of those. When I told him I had already survived 104 exorcisms, he told people I was a demon. So he's a Christian pastor. He makes $600 each exorcism. And so he has a vested interest in telling us we need exorcisms. And I've gotten pretty bitter about Christians because they don't know what they're dealing with. And so anything they don't understand or dislike is suddenly a demon. And I'm watching Congress talking about UAP and, the unidentified aerial phenomenon, and talking about non-human intelligences, and they're assuming that it's all demons because they're Christians and don't understand anything else. And it actually is beginning to worry me. Throughout our history, going back millennia, non-human intelligences have always been with us. Always. In the Bible, they're referred to as angels and demons. In the Quran, they're referred to as angels and jinn.
Mm.
Other holy books call them other things. The Chinese culture talks about some of them being hungry ghosts. Okay. 3D Earth universe is one of 22 dimensions or densities, frequencies. They go from the bottom hell, which is level 8, They come up to us, and then they go up another 15 above us. I think I counted that right. There's 22 total. We tend, 3D Earth is supposed to be the 0 point. It's where the lower realms and the higher realms overlap. Now, this really matters because this made everything make sense to me. Okay. When you look at the drawings of the tree of life, the Yggdrasil in Norse mythology, the Sephora in Kabbalah, whether it's Christian, Jewish, or Islamic. When you get to the level where Earth is, they always show a Vesica Pisces. The two circles overlap, and we are in the middle zone, that eye-shaped area. The Vesica Pisces is where new things are built. New life is born. New things are created.
It's also a symbol of mitosis and cellular division, and numerous corporations use that Vesica Pisces as their logo.
Exactly. But
Which lets you know they're part of the ICC and part of that controlling structure because they overtly show their symbols, but only the well-read knows how to identify them.
But when you really pay attention to what this symbol means, it is the overlap between heaven and hell.
That makes sense.
Each of them is a parent to.
Kind of like we're in Midgard, and then the higher realm would be.
Yeah, we are in Midgard. The higher realm is Asgard. The lower realm is Helheim. This is how it would be in the Norse religion, which most Americans don't understand at all. But when you have heaven on one side, hell on the other side, and we are in the overlap, you have two parents that can't get along and they're fighting over custody. And that's why everything is always a mess here.
It's like you're getting pulled in both directions at the same time because they're both fighting on which direction you should go.
And whatever you look at is what you'll see. If you look at the good stuff and the righteous people, that's what you see. If you look at the mess, that's what you'll see. If you look at power structures, the power structure is set up where there's that same division between two or more competing groups. And everywhere you look, you will eventually see the duality. The duality goes all the way to the submicroscopic level because
What's so below?
exactly, electrons are not particles, they're energy fields. Protons are not particles, they're energy fields.
And they're their own little mini universe.
Yeah. And if you look at electromagnetic radiation, it's called that because it morphs from an electrical field to a magnetic field and then back again.
Yeah, it's part of the torus field.
And this entire reality, this entire frequency is based on a perfect balance between electronic and magnetic fields.
Those are light bodies.
If either one wins, everything collapses.
And that's the point of duality. It's like a perfect balance between both sides.
Exactly. So people think that their side has to win. And it comes down to chaos versus order. And what you have to have is enough order for stability and enough chaos for freedom. And without both, you end up enslaved. Either way, either direction. But if it goes far enough either direction, all of reality as we know it will collapse.
That's why they put it on the back of our dollar bill. They put order over chaos in Latin. They're showing us that we are the chaos and they are the order that maintains that chaos.
They
Almost like a
think,
duality.
they think. I've studied this a long time. I've mentioned before that I have a tutor. My tutor has shared with me reading lists for 15 years now. Every time I get through the reading list, he gives me another list. So this is, and then about the time I met my tutor, this guy who was a meritocratist asked me to join his group. And I asked him how many people they wanted to kill. And he said everybody below 140 IQ.
I mean, that's most of the planet.
And I said, no thanks. I'm not into genocide.
That's
And
what some certain people in Nacht Waffen offered me. They tried to recruit me in that same bullcrap scenario where they want to part of the factions want to wipe part of the planet out. I'm like, go fuck yourself. I
pretty
will never
much.
take part of it.
So he said, well, I have a library online I'm going to give you access to. And when you've read enough books, you'll agree with me. And he gave me the link and the code to access it. And I downloaded a whole bunch of stuff. And I've read most of it. And I still don't agree with him. I think that humanity has a lot of potential. I think we're a child race. I think the ETs who created us and then claimed to be gods have a lot to answer for. They have not parented us as a race. And I think if we had been parented, that we would be in a lot better shape than we are now. I know from my dealings with the guardians that they would like very much to teach us how to be good galactic citizens. But they've asked us 4 times before, and we've always told them no. So I know that opportunity is going to be presented again before too long. Before too long. When you're dealing with ETs with much longer lifespans, they consider it soon if it's still in their lifespan. And some of them live to be 500,000 years old.
Yeah, it's like the theory of humans are basically just a gnat. And like we're dealing with the length of a horse life. So we're only existing in the blink of an eye. Like the Anunnaki's rotation is 3,600 years. Every 3,600 years is like they age 1 year old at 3,600 years. Can you imagine that? Like that's crazy how long that these other beings live, man.
So when they tell me soon, I'm like, soon in my time or soon in your time? And they just laugh and walk off. It's like, okay. So I've been told there will soon be an offer made to parent humanity. and that if humanity says yes, that the pending cyclic disaster can be postponed. So they're kind of holding the solar flash and polar flip over our heads. So knowing that we're working into that direction and that it's currently overdue, I'm thinking soon might actually be in what's left of my lifetime. But the information needs to be out there that this is being put on the table. And, you know, folks need to think about, do they want to become a galactic citizen? Or do they want to stay a child race protected in anonymity? I have trouble with that word. And isolation. And they should be aware that if we say no, we'll be pushed back to the Stone Age to start over again.
I think the issue is we've never been given a formal chance to see what we're capable of because we've always had the Anunnaki and other programs, as part of other experiments. We've always been controlled. We've always been in a state of worldwide wars that they're controlling. We're always being held back. So like say let's talk about the Galactic Federation of Worlds. For them to tell us that we're a child race and we're not ready, we're the product of slavers. We've never been able to be fully expressing what we're about and what we can achieve because they've held back our creations of technologies. They've put them on the blacklists. Every time humans try to step forward to make it a better world, we get extinguished. They kill us almost every time. So I feel that the only way we would ever discover what we're capable of is if they remove the controlling structure away from the planet. Because I believe most of the wars, most of the hate, it doesn't come from humans. It's part of the programming. They force us to do these things because
the 1,000 Anunnaki who have been running the place for the last 400,000 years, all but 8 of them have been executed. I sat through their trials. I have an altar that serves as a bailiff in the Galactic Authority.
remember how Marduk turned into like a little vagina during that trial? Started crying.
He cried through the whole thing, and he was fitted with a bomb in his head so that if he relapses, he will be gone. But the others who were spared all made amnesty agreements based on them helping clean up the mess. The others were all executed.
What
And
about the hybrids that are the Anunnaki that are still controlling the planet?
they're still here.
What do we do about them?
We have to do that.
Because Rothschilds, Rockefellers, like they are the Anunnaki, so like they're technically.
No, they're not. They're more us than them.
Well, I'm speaking from a hybrid point of view, bloodline.
All humans are hybrids between Anunnaki and Homo erectus.
Yeah, that was when we became sapien sapiens.
The ruling class is one step in between us and the Anunnaki, but they still have Homo erectus roots. They're not Anunnaki much as they would like to be. They may tell you they're Anunnaki, but they're still humans. And as long as it's a human from Earth, we have to clean our own house. As long as we are voting for these people to represent us in government or buying things from them or using their banks or any of those things, we have given consent. So we have to start looking at our actions and withdrawing consent to be ruled by these people. And the biggest problem with that is that the majority of humanity is 100 IQ or lower. And they really don't know how to do anything. I mean, that sounds terrible, but look at how they responded to the pandemic. Look at how they responded to the shutdowns, the lockdowns. It was almost lockstep. Yes, we comply. Worldwide, they got really nasty at the few of us who didn't.
I was one of the very few that never complied once. I never got no vaccine. I never got a PCR test. Any show that I would have to get a PCR test in order to fly to, I stopped going. I don't comply for nothing. And that's in my soul energy. I do not comply. Everybody needs to remember those words. I do not comply, and start repeating that on a daily basis, because then we consent to be controlled.
I've been using the phrase, I do not consent. That covers a lot more.
I even like to say, if there was any contracts signed against my knowledge that were changed or something that my higher self would not agree with, I do not consent, and I burn and destroy that contract. If it does not serve my highest good and my highest self, I cancel this contract. I do not consent.
I've been told I signed things when I was in SSP that I was required to sign them to come back.
When you were a kid?
I've told them that they needed to produce the paperwork. Otherwise, I was not going to honor them. And that if I was a 4-year-old when I signed, that it is not valid.
Exactly, because you don't have the mental capability to understand what you're going to be going through, and that's not true informed consent, because a child cannot actually be informed to then give consent because its mind doesn't understand what it's consenting to.
When I was 4, the legal age of consent in California was 21. For reasons. It was changed to 18 about the time I was 18. But at the time they're saying I signed these documents, I was 4. There is no one rational in the entire planet that's going to allow a 4-year-old to sign something and hold them to it. Most of them can't even read and write at that age. So I told them, you want me to shut up? You say I've signed an NDA. Produce the paperwork. Because if I signed it as a 4-year-old, or if I signed it, and I was mind wiped, it has no legal basis. And
because it's always against your will no matter what.
Yeah. And if it was a requirement to come home, that's duress. And in California, at least, if you have to sign something under duress, it's invalid.
That's why all legal contracts, I sign my name by Drago David Reid, capital D. The rest of my name is lowercase, and I put Living Soul, L/S, copyright, UCC 1-308. I reserve all rights with prejudice. On any document I sign, it says that on my driver's license. So I cannot be compelled. And that's what it is. They're compelling you through that contract to perform. I accept all gifts, but waive all benefits. Therefore, this contract is not valid because there wasn't a meeting of the minds. I didn't have the ability to amend that contract by law like legal contract says I can. I have the ability by law to take any printed contract, take a ruler and a black pen, and mark out anything I do not agree to with an initial. Then legally I can sign that contract, so I don't have to be forced to compel to submit to that legal nonsense that no one really knows they're signing, kind of like the terms of service when you sign Facebook.
Yeah.
It's not a legally binding document, being that there's no meeting of the minds. There's no true agreement to actually have a contract.
No, there's no contract to it. You just sign away your rights to your whole life just to be able to talk to your friends. And they claim that they have to meet the same standards for the whole world. Well, I'm not submitting to some imam in the Middle East who thinks I'm an animal. Sorry, not happening. I'm having a hard enough time meeting their community standards that change day by day, and they don't notify you. I recently had a half-hour timeout because I shared a video that exposed that children are playing an online first-person shooter game where they are flying an armed drone. And the reality is they're actually flying an armed drone in Ukraine. And they're told it's a game, but they're really shooting people, real live people in a real live war.
And they showed it in the movie Ender's Game.
Yeah.
It was about the secret space program taking kids at a young age, turning them into soldiers, and then basically convincing them that some of the VR stuff they're going through is VR and it's actually really happening in real life.
Yeah. So I was using this as exposure of what I consider to be a criminal behavior. Children should not be flying drones in wars. Even
Children should not be playing soldier games where they kill people, because that's a form of desensitization to actually doing that in real life.
these kids don't know they're actually shooting people. They think they're playing a game. Their parents think they're playing a game, and they're really shooting people. This is fucking immoral.
Pretty sick.
It's one of
Think about
the
that. You get a free army. You have a physical standing army, then you have a virtual army, meaning that people will sign up for free to take part in mass killing, not knowing they're taking part in mass killing.
they're paying to do it. They're paying to play a game online. This is just like, oh my God. They have no idea. And I was sent this video in Messenger, and I shared it on my wall, and I was literally locked out of Facebook with no explanation for half an hour. And I'm like, okay, I'm off Facebook. Okay. And then today they had some sort of power outage that took out the whole platform.
Yeah, online it says it only affected 500,000 users. My ass, because everybody that I'm seeing on Facebook, it happened to them too. So 500,000, but it just happens to be almost everyone I know. Come on.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
was a test run.
So I think they're getting worried about what some of us are sharing.
Well, just remember the way they control that, because they says the terms of service that you signed up says you can't do that. But guess what? Everybody needs to look up the word ultra vires, ULTRA vires, VIRES. And that means if there's not a benefit, look up the word benefit in Black's Law or Bouvier's 1856. That's the original 1856 book that the Supreme Court uses. I have that. It's volume 1 and volume 2. So When you look at lawful terms, you'll notice that with Black's Law, depending on what edition you have, the definition changes.
Mm-hmm.
So try to always get Black's Law Volume 1, and it'll explain what the word benefit is. If a contract does not benefit both parties, it becomes void upon its creation and at its face value, meaning it is no longer legally enforceable. So that's what they're telling Mark Zuckerberg and Facebook and Meta. These terms of service you had people sign, there was no option to opt out to any of the information located with that contract. If you opt out, that means you don't get a Facebook profile. So there's no way to have truthful, lawful agreements with the term of service that you can't benefit from, because there is no benefit. If you speak, that's your First Amendment right. They shut you down if they don't like what you're talking about. That doesn't benefit you. That violates the original contract. And they're telling that in Congress. They said it's illegal.
Congress is who started the censorship. They were investigating how Trump got mysteriously elected, because all of these elections are fixed behind the scenes, and Mrs. Clinton was supposed to win, and she suddenly didn't. And
Elected, not elected.
exactly. And she had been selected, and suddenly Trump was elected, and they're like, how did this happen? Because it upset their whole system in DC. And they decided that it was the Trump people had been messed with, and so suddenly there was all of this censorship of conservatives because they were being too effective. And I say they because I'm not exactly a conservative. I'm not exactly a liberal either. I'm sort of outside the political system. I consider myself an ethicist.
Which is what?
An ethicist is someone who wants even-handed policies that benefit the most people. And what we have right now is a system that only benefits the rich.
Yeah, because we don't really have a true form of democracy. We have an oligarchy. We have technocrats. We have corporations that are bigger than our own governments running the governments, telling the governments what to do. That's why they're technically untouchable to this point until we change certain Supreme Court rulings where we make them liable, like Facebook or Twitter. It doesn't matter. We got to change their status from a social media company to a news publishing agency, because the moment they started fact checking stuff, they literally became a news publishing agency, and they were not allowed to legally do that. They're not legally classified to do that. When they do that, they are responsible for the information coming out. Even with Project Mockingbird and the laws that Obama signed and the National Security Act of 47, it technically violates all that because it's all unlawful and legally created, because it violates ultra vires. There's no benefit to both parties and or the citizens. We're literally slaves. So therefore, their entire democracy and law, it's all void on its face. It technically is an illusion.
Mm-hmm.
Entire political system, both sides are both corrupt. That's why one side won't take out the other. That's why you never see mass arrests of politicians and senators, and they just protect each other. A lot of them are all guilty. There is no side of the light. There's evil and there's more evil. They're both evil on both sides. There might be some good guys on the sides, but you know damn well they're controlled or they're blackmailed in some way where they can't make true change.
There was a local district attorney who went to my church in the 90s. I was the priest's assistant, so I hung out at the church building quite a bit. And he was down there one day talking to the priest, friend to friend, not confessional. And he said he was getting a lot of flack from some of the members about being part of the legal system. And I asked him, just why do we have people who they start off good and they end up bad? You know, and that it's almost all of them end up bad. And he says, well, you get elected dog catcher. And you have an after election party where you celebrate getting elected. And you're at one of your supporters' houses, and they have every vice available freely.
That's where the blackmail starts.
And that even if you don't partake in the stuff, they'll slip a Mickey into your drink. And you wake up in a bed
With children having sex with them, or they take photos with you like that. Yep.
Yep.
So,
and that from that moment on, they own you.
yep.
So I knew about all of that even before my memories were activated. So that was when I became an ethicist instead of political. And I started paying attention. And what we have right now in America is the right and left wings of the bird of prey that's eating the people alive. And they work together behind the scenes. They may fight in front of you, but that's just acting.
I heard at the highest levels when they go to vote on stuff, they're giving the vote they're supposed to vote for in advance.
Yeah,
This is out from numerous congressmen and senators. They say a lot of times when they vote, someone else votes for them and they vote according to what they have to vote for, because a lot of them have come out and said they are blackmailed. So, like, I think it was, we just impeached Mayorkas. We won by one single vote. One. It was 214 to 215, I think. And all before that, they were talking that they're controlling the votes. They won't let us impeach Mayorkas because he's like the pony for like the bad guys. Like, he does whatever he's told, and he will do the most despicable crap. And like, I don't know how many impeachments he went through, and he succeeded in not getting impeached. He's the first one to ever be impeached ever in his position since the United States was formed.
Have you watched over this century, whoever is the balloon floater ends up in the White House? Throughout the Obama administration, it was Biden. He's president. Since he was no longer vice president, it has become AOC. She is the balloon floater for the Democrats. What they do is they float an idea, something they really want to do, but it sounds crazy. So this person goes on record proposing it, and whether it's laughed down or not decides whether it's going to be done. They take the risk of being laughed at and called an idiot and a fool, and later on they're rewarded with high office. This is the way it operates. And yet I hear all these people thinking, oh, why is she reelected? Why is she reelected? Because she's the balloon floater.
You know what's funny about AOC is she's publicly personified as a dumb shit. College person. She is incredibly intelligent. I have watched her talk in Congress so many times that by the end of me listening to her, I'm like, her playing dumb is all a game. It's all fake. All this is fake. She is one of the most well-read people. If you literally hear her talk, she knows what she's talking about, and it'll blow you away because no one watches congressional testimonies. Almost nobody does. I do. I'll watch the whole 30 hours over a week of all these testimonies and how they're outing the corporations. You're committing all these crimes, blah, 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 left and right. I just watched them talk about in Congress how pedophiles, they're trying to vote on this, where pedophiles should be giving a sex doll that is a child because they have determined that if a predator pedophile takes its aggression on that child doll, it is more likely not to do it to a physical child. So they're fighting about this now. They want pedophiles to have kids' sex dolls that are lifelike in hopes that they won't actually, yeah. 2024, we're there now. And they're talking about that and they're disputing. I'm like,
We had so much grief in California when we took the position that if you're underage and you're a prostitute, that you're being trafficked.
and they try to say that they consented to be trafficked.
What we said was, you're not old enough to legally consent, so you're being trafficked, even if you are saying it's okay. So we decriminalized the kids in the hopes that if they weren't going to go to jail for it, they would out their pimps and traffickers. And the whole rest of the country took it that we were approving of kid prostitutes. And it was just, we try things here. We have the same problems that everybody else does. Some of them are a little worse than everybody else. So we try things, and sometimes they work and sometimes they backfire. That 3 strikes law, it filled our prisons. It stopped a hell of a lot of crime. But we had people going to prison for 25 years for stealing a piece of pizza. So that was, there were obvious problems with it. And we reached a point where we realized we had a problem there too. And the courts decided it was unconstitutional. So now we've still got the people who want the bad guys locked up. And you've got the people who say, well, that didn't work.
I think the only thing that's going to work with these pedophiles is I think they should not only be chemically castrated, I think that they should have their members cut off. Or I think they should be put to death. I think that assaulting a child, you should be put to death in public. You should either be shot, hanged, or have your head cut off. There was no scenario where you can go to jail for 3 years for assaulting a kid, and then you come right back out, you're back to assaulting kids. And then you live in a place like California, and then they basically don't, they just let you go. The bail system, they just
Oh no,
just over and over and over, they'll let you assault kids.
we have a much more strict policy. Okay, everybody hears about the bullshit that they do in San Francisco and
Yeah, I
Sacramento.
was specifically talking about San Francisco.
But the rest of the state, we have a stripe that's blue, and the rest of the state is more conservative than the rest of the country. I live in red California. I know this place is conservative. Our congressman brags about being too conservative for the conservative caucus. And the rest of the country is clueless. They don't know that we have this going on. We regularly have 2/3 of the state wanting to secede. Seriously.
I know that's what they're talking
Some,
about with Texas.
some of them want to secede from the union, but I'm talking about split the state. And
That's what the next step should be. I think the states should start seceding from the federal laws because the federal laws are violating inherent rights and causing structures to be put in place that violate moral. Everything we're about.
I'm very careful about what I say about seceding from the union because some of the folks in Congress are getting really, really pissy about treason.
Well, it's written in the Constitution that if the government oversteps the state's roles and authority and laws of creating their own laws, they have a legal right to secede. So that's unique for me because I'm from Texas. I was born in Texas. So that means if Texas ever secedes from the United States, what would that mean for me legally? You know, because
Yeah.
Texas would be in its own country at that point. You know what I'm saying?
I was born and raised in California, and I have never lived anywhere else in my Earth life.
Wow. I
Yeah.
used to live in California. I remember moving away from California because I seen in the 1990s, the early 1990s, what it was becoming.
I didn't live on the coast then. Okay, I have lived in Orange County, south of LA. It's Republican.
Me too. I used to live in Anaheim.
I was in La Habra.
Nice.
I went to San Diego State University. I lived in San Diego County for 3 years. San Diego is a Republican county, or it was then. I have never lived in a blue part of the state. I grew up just north of Bakersfield, the area that Buck Owens calls Texas West.
I remember it's Bakersfield.
Yeah, there are locals who call it the armpit of the world. There are others who call Barstow that, but
Barstow, yeah. That's the
uh,
wild world right there.
uh,
California.
Buck Owens called from Fresno down to the Grapevine and then east to Barstow. He called that whole region Texas West because it was all people who settled there from the Dust Bowl and the Hispanics who were there when they got there. Yeah, it's been mixed race the whole time.
You know, it's funny. I've had this, it's beyond a theory. I've had this recognition that when I was a young kid that a lot of people in Texas, they talk a lot of crap about the Mexicans and how they're coming over the border into Texas, right?
Mm,
The kid, I even knew that technically Texas was Mexico.
yeah,
And it was the
was
United States that
California.
encroached when I think it was part of the Louisiana Purchase or sometime around there where we stole the land from Mexico. California
Yeah,
was part of Mexico.
California was part of Mexico.
So technically, we stole their country. They have more right to be here than typical Americans do because it's always been Mexico for a long freaking time. So I dated a lot of Hispanic girls that were Mexican in Texas because I always seen it. I seen the culture there. I love the Mexican culture. The food is freaking delicious. You know what I'm saying? It's my favorite food in the world, Mexican food. Like I feel home there, but I've always known it wasn't
Well,
my
when I stay at your house, I'll make you some refrieds.
uh-oh, I'm gonna have to make some nachos. Drago's famous Tex-Mex nachos. That sounds like an awesome time, man.
Yeah, I was born in Tulare County, which is north of Bakersfield, and I grew up on a dairy there, and it was a Portuguese dairy, but all the kids I went to school with were Mexicans. And I went to the labor
Some of
camp.
the hardest working people I've ever met in my life are Mexican.
Dad used to make us earn our school money by working in the fields during the summer. So yeah, it'd be 110 to 120 outside, and I'm out there cutting grapes as a 10-year-old. And my sister Gwen is 2 years younger, and she's cutting grapes with me, and she's going first, and I'm going behind her. And we're getting paid by the tray, and Dad's taking our money for our school clothes. And we're working with all of these homegrowns, and there were also braceros they were Mexican nationals who were brought in for the crop season and then expected to go home. So there would be 3 months out of the year, they would be in Mexico, and the rest of the time they would be working the fields, planting, growing, weeding, harvesting. And they would just basically start down in Imperial Valley and work their way north. Sometimes they would go to Oregon and Washington State for the cherry harvest. So, but yeah, the whole West Coast this was the way we operated. And then someone in DC got a bug up their butt that they didn't want the Braceros program anymore. So now they have these, I forget the code name for it, but they have this program where your employer can hire someone on the basis that there's nobody local that can do it. And they basically enslave those people. They keep their documents so they can't go work for somebody else. And it's turned into a real slavery issue. And I understand Canada's program is doing the same thing. They're bringing in people from the West Indies.
And it's always been a mechanism of control. They frame it in a way where it's progressivism, where we bring other people that need to make money, that's suffering, but basically it's a new form of slavery, and no one connects those dots because like they're not getting paid normal wages. They're
No,
being
they're
kept
not.
in slave conditions. They all sleep together in the same buildings or the same room. Like I remember being in Texas, and when a lot of what you would consider illegals, when they would come over, they all live in like a 1 bedroom apartment. There might be 30 people in 1 bedroom apartment, everybody just stacked on each other. And it sucks, man. Like what they do to
Yeah.
humans. That's what that's one of the
That's
main
the
reasons I'm
world.
stepping forward.
That's the world that I grew up in, was seeing that, working beside these people, realizing how hard they worked and how
Work so
crappy
hard,
they were
man. And they don't
treated.
they don't gripe about nothing. Like I've always told people, if I'm gonna build a business, I'm not gonna hire Americans. I'm gonna hire Mexicans because Mexicans will work all day long. They won't bitch about nothing. They will do their job, and you won't even have to stay on them. Like they are some of the hardest. If I had two buildings that were they were the same building, Mexicans would have it built in minimum a third of the time because they are proficient. They are good at what they do. They are skilled laborers, man. So like I've always given them props, man. And like people like to attack a lot of the immigrants,
Now,
specifically Mexicans, but like
there
they're some
are
beautiful people, man.
bad people who come in with the workers,
Agreed. There always will be.
but there are bad people homegrown here too.
Like
And
what's happening at the border now, it's out of control. Like it's a lot of bad people coming in to basically
well,
destabilize the
I
United
don't even
States.
know if they're good or bad people, but it bothers me that the Democrats are calling them voters.
They legally can't do that. According to the Constitution, you have to be a citizen going through the naturalized citizen process, and they're trying to write legislation right before the next election that will allow them to actually vote. Sorry, number one, it's illegal. It's unconstitutional. They wrote the Bill of Rights within 17 years of 1776 because within 17 freaking years, the government got so freaking corrupt that they had to make an addendum and say, you know what? We thought this was cool a couple years ago, but you guys are getting out of control, man. There has to be rights because when they established the United States, we didn't have any rights. And they can do whatever the hell they wanted. And a lot of it had to do with manifest destiny and all that crap. And like, we have the Bill of Rights for a reason. And it shows us when governments do this, we have the legal authority to remove them from office. So all the J6 stuff that happened, them arresting those people, that was illegal.
Hmm?
The Constitution says we can legally do that. We have permission to do that. Period.
Um, I love talking with you, but you have about 13 minutes till your
I've
next.
seen that.
So if you want to give any blurbs out for where people can contact you.
Me and Penny will be doing a talk. I think it's April 11th through the 14th, something like that. You could.
No, I'm not at that one. It'll be you and Lauren.
Sorry, July. I meant July.
Okay,
The July
July.
one. It'll be in St. Pete Beach. Maybe we'll get some links for you at the bottom of the video below. Other
Yeah,
than that, I'm gonna be doing,
I will put the link to the conference, yes. You will be in LA in April
mhm.
with Laura Eisenhower.
At thealienevent.com. I'm going to be doing 2 talks, one on my experiences with the SSP. It'll be my actual experiences, not other people's experiences. So it's going to be unique. And I'm also going to be doing a talk on the Anunnaki. That thing's going to be freaking legit.
I talk about my experiences too. Sometimes other people have had similar, but I only talk about what I remember doing. So, all right. You have a YouTube, Rumble.
My YouTube was deleted 2016, 2017-ish. So basically it's just rumble.com. You could find me at Portal to Another Dimension on Rumble, and Laura Eisenhower and I show the Rebel Collective on Rumble. We'll list those links below.
Okay.
Oh yeah, my website, everybody, duh. Fractal.com. That's where you can see what I do with QHHT, Dolores Cannon style hypnosis. That's so amazing. I recommend everybody gets a QHHT session. Hopefully, I might be doing one on Penny when she comes down for that little trip, and we've been talking about that for years.
Yeah,
So,
we've been talking about that one for a while. So yeah, well,
always a pleasure talking to you, Penny and Lou. I was waiting for that laugh.
okay.
Good seeing you.
You
Be
too, brother.
even better to see you in person.
Yeah, give me one of those big ass Viking Iroquois hugs. I'll make sure to lean down because I'm 5'10".
You have a great time talking with Ida, and thank you for coming.
Of course, it's always a pleasure. Always a pleasure. Love you guys.